The course of true love never did run smooth. Bill Shakespeare.
William's cousin. You're listening to Studio 22.
Today we're covering the crazy topic of love, romance, dating, and technology's influence on culture in that world and everything in between. Brock, how you doing?
I'm good. Yes, these are the topics we're talking about today. It's a wild time in 2024, and it is much different than it used to be, but I'm excited to dive in. Let's dive in.
We have some crazy statistics that are pretty shocking, and I'm excited to dive into it because I was like, holy moly, I can't believe this is going on.
Yeah, we learned a lot when researching about this subject, dating. I guess start with the origins of, I don't know when dating first started. I'm sure it was a very, very long time ago. But online dating.
Oh yeah, dating's definitely been around since humans could officially repopulate.
Yeah.
Adam and Eve, if you're a biblical scholar.
That's something I haven't heard about. I wonder if they went on dates. That'd be pretty cool.
Hopefully not by the apple tree. That was the one date that ended all dates.
But started all dates, I think.
So.
Moving on. I'm just saying we wouldn't have any dates if they didn't do that.
No, yeah, I wasn't saying that because you. Yeah. In 2016, 240 million people worldwide were using online dating. So the term online dating is going to reflect dating apps and dating websites, right? Any form of online dating, right? There is a difference between the apps and the websites that we'll get into. 2021, 323 million. 2022, 366 million. So drastically increasing the amount of people on dating apps and dating websites.
Yeah. In just 6 years, what is that? 126 million people?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. 6 years. That is a massive increase.
Yeah, around the world. Yeah. And then in America, the most popular apps, Tinder is number one with 80 million Americans on Tinder. And that skews to Gen Z, right?
Yeah.
Typically Gen Z. And millennials go more towards Match.com, which is 75 million Americans are on Match.com.
Do you think that's accounting for social media as well? I feel like a lot of people will use something like Facebook or Instagram as a dating fishing pool,
Oh, for sure. You
think that's all calculated in there as well?
I mean, it's all connection and communication, right?
Yeah.
Like, what does it matter what URL you enter to talk to somebody? It's essentially very similar, right?
Yeah. I think what I'm saying is I wonder if there's a higher number, unless that was obviously it has to be an estimate. They're not counting everybody who's doing that, but I was wondering if it's a higher number.
Well, I think so. We are using data from datingnews.com and Nimble App Genie, right? So we have app stats and then dating news stats. Those are the two sources that we'll cover with everything we're going to talk about. 42% of users aim for marriage, right?
Wow.
I think that's good. I think that's higher than what I expected. And I'm glad people are actually out there looking for commitment, right?
That makes me curious about the age range too.
Yeah, I think the age range of people surveyed was like 18 to 55 or something, or 18 to 45.
Oh, within.
Something like that. Here's a crazy dating stat for you. Are you ready for this? 20% of people using a dating app are talking to 11 or more people at one time.
Jeez.
1/5 of people.
How do you keep track of that?
It's crazy.
What are you doing with your day that you can communicate
to 11
concisely with 11 or more people at once?
That's
romantically,
Right. Like if you think of how many like work calls and Zooms and all that you do in a day.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely over 8. That's a lot.
Yeah. And I'm wondering what their intentions are. Is your intention Are you one of those 42% talking to 11 or more to try and find someone to marry, or is it a different intention?
Right. I
'Cause
talk to way more than 8 people a day. That's crazy. It's like,
Yeah. I mean,
but you know what I mean?
You don't think about it until you look at your text messages from the day and you're like, wow, I text 34 people today
Right.
or more, depending on how your day goes. And it just kind of adds up quickly. So thinking about that, like, I don't know if I could do that.
It's too much.
Yeah, it's a lot. And to be able to keep track of that, but also, like, again, it comes down to your intentions, right? Like, what are your intentions when communicating on these apps? And
Well, a little bit less than half are looking for marriage, right? So that's pretty good.
yeah, so of those 42%, 20% of that, what is that? Yeah, like 4%. So let's just say like 4.2%, 4. Whatever the number is, I don't know, are talking to or being talked to or talking to at least 11 people.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Dude, it's crazy. Think about that. Like, you never know.
Yeah. And there's a lot of fish in the sea, so you got to filter them out and, find the one that works for you.
Right. And people's schedules and all that. Like, I think 11's way too much, obviously, but that's not the majority of people, but it is a big chunk. And
to be fair, though, I feel like, if you really are looking for your person, if that's your intention on the dating app, how do you know if you're not face to face, right? So you're not only talking to a bunch of people, how do you know which people are being truthful or not? And then until you meet them in person, I mean, talk about catfish. How many people get catfished all the time?
Are you ready for this shocking dating statistic?
I don't know. Lay it on me. Let's see what we got.
50% of Americans lie on their dating profiles. Shame on you.
50%.
I shouldn't say shame on you.
I mean, to each their own. I don't think lying is a great way to start off a relationship, but
right.
But no, 50%, like that. And then that brings into makes me wonder, what are they lying about?
So men typically lie about their work, and women typically lie about their age.
So we're just sitting here, and the guy's I'm the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, but really, he only runs his Activision account playing video games all day.
Well, you got to drop into Verdansk.
He's in the military. I gotcha.
Online military.
Yeah, that's the lie, right? That's what you say.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We're getting deep into the stats here. It's getting a little.
And then the women, 50. What is it? The women typically lie about what? Their age.
20% of women use younger photos, which is like, that's not lying.
Hey,
that's fine.
If you got a good photo, flaunt that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you got to show off that gene pool. It doesn't matter what point. I mean, dude, should have seen my jawline when I was 19. It was pretty solid.
Throwback Thursday is like my favorite day.
I wonder. Yeah, that's interesting. So I haven't been on a dating app in so long, but I have been on them. And you definitely, it's like social media. I think you highlight your best stuff, right? You're trying to attract a suitor. You're trying to attract somebody. That sounds so funny when you say it like that, when I say suitor. But I'd want to show some things that I'm interested in. If I was going to make a dating profile, not to sidetrack too much, today, what would I put in there? I'd show me, obviously. I'd show some of my hobbies, my interests, camping, my motorcycle. I enjoy riding my motorcycle. Probably something to do with fitness. Probably. Yeah, it's a part of my life. I don't know, man. I'd feel it's interesting putting it up there. Like,
yeah,
if that was a way that I was going to be searching for somebody, which I have done before. I don't know. It's different. I haven't done it in so long. I can't. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think people deserve a little bit of a break on this one, right? I think there's a difference of like lying and embellishing and, like you said, highlighting your positive attributes, right? Like,
yeah, why would you want to put your worst stuff out there?
For sure.
That's for when you got them hooked and you show them 3-4 months in,
The pajamas,
yeah. Later down the road.
Here's another disheartening fact. Are you ready?
I don't know if I can take it.
62% of online daters are already in a relationship.
Oof.
Oof.
That's rough.
That's rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about that. More than half the people you're talking to already in a relationship.
Damn.
But what are you going to do? You know?
Yeah.
They're not going to tell you that. They're most likely not going to be honest about that, right? Unless they have an open relationship, which is fine.
Yeah. To each their own. But I feel like, I don't know, man. Why would you do that? The reason behind that is you just have to not be happy in your relationship, unless there's some other deep rooted stuff going on. But I feel like you'd have to not be happy. And then it's like, well, what are we doing here? What's the point of being in this relationship if we're not able to resolve our issues and fully communicate with each other and then not build that resentment over time? You got to really work at being there. The whole thing about being in a relationship is like, it's never going to be perfect with anybody, right?
No.
You're going to have to fight for that person. You're going to have to choose that person. And then you got to know that they're willing to stay, you got to figure it out. It's not because it's perfect. It's because you want that person, because you choose that person. So if they're sitting there and they haven't chosen the person, and 60% of them are going to go, or plus 62%, right, are going to go out and try to find somebody else for whatever reason. Like, how many people are acting on that, right? That doesn't mean every person's acting on that, but I'm sure a majority are. And that's just straight up cheating, and that's not good.
For sure. We don't know all the details of the stats, right? Like you said, that means they could just be talking to someone. It means maybe they go on a date or two, but they don't act on it. Maybe they're in a fight and they get mad and they, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think
I can attest to, if I was in a relationship and the woman felt that she needed to be on a dating app and try and talk to somebody else, or go on a date with somebody else or anything, it would instantaneously be over.
Yeah.
Because of my own values and boundaries and morals. And the point of believing, you need to believe and know what you deserve. And you can't sit there and let someone do something to that, because it's just not right, and figure out the reason.
It's not right.
Yeah. Figuring out the reason behind that. But that's tough, man, because that is social media has, and not just social media, but social media and dating apps in general have made it so easy to connect with people. And it's even a false connection too, I feel like, to a degree, because a real connection is sitting next to someone and getting to know them, seeing the way they move, they talk, their energy, and being in it, being present with somebody. Because the reason I'm saying that is because we have catfish, right? I can't tell you how many messages I've gotten over the years of people who have fallen in love with me, but it's been a fake profile of me. It's been somebody else who's been leading them on or trying to get money from them, or,
oh, damn,
emotionally, like, really attaching them to each other, like grabbing their emotions and taking them and just taking advantage of these people, I guess is what you're saying, for whatever their reasons are. I don't know what they are. And, I'm sure there's a million different variations out there, but it's tough because you can get emotionally attached to someone. Like, I saw this video of this woman, I think she was in her 60s, and she was sending money to Post Malone. She just thought she was in a relationship with Post Malone.
Catfished?
Got catfished.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just that kind of stuff happens all the time, but it just shows you that, as people, we want to connect, right? We want to connect with others and finding our way to do it in a relationship, but to be emotionally attached to someone you've never met, it's tough.
So there's an unattributed quote out there. We accept the love that we think we deserve, right? Mm. So if you're in a relationship and you're unhappy and you go on a date with someone else, that's a pretty selfish thing to do, right? Because you're going to hurt someone else's feelings, but in your head, you're like, well, I deserve better, right?
And not to say that they don't, right? Maybe in that certain situation, but at the other turn of that is a very selfish thing to do. And when you're in a relationship, it's about what are you willing to sacrifice for that other person the majority of the time. Not to say that you shouldn't have your own as well, but if you're going to do that intentionally and it ends up knowing it's going to hurt but that's the thing too. This is such a complicated subject because people are complicated, right? And then our trauma, our past, our personalities, we've got all these different reasons that all come together that make us each individually us. And if you sit there and you try to dissect somebody, like if somebody's going to go out on a date, maybe they need a certain amount of attention that they're not getting from their partner. Maybe they need a certain validation. Maybe they have some self-sabotaging tendencies that they want to try and destroy the thing that they have because they don't believe they deserve it. There's a million different reasons that go into that, but it's the trickiest thing. I feel personally, one of the most difficult things to really get right, or maybe not even difficult, but just one of the toughest things is love. I feel like love is like, dude, you can master making money and, getting in shape and doing all this stuff, but love is such a complicated, interesting, concept just in general. It's not something that's just cut and dry. It turns a million ways,
It's almost like consciousness love is, right?
Yeah.
You can't put your finger on it. You can't define it, but you know it when you feel it.
Yeah.
Speaking of the catfishing, 1 out of 10 profiles are fake.
1 out of 10.
1 out of 10. That's higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah. I know this is a very common thing, especially if somebody has a larger presence in whether it's a celebrity or social media or whatever it is. I have had thousands, and I'm not making this up, thousands over the years of fake profiles of myself. I get sent them daily of people saying that they're me. Like Facebook, Instagram, Tinder. When I first moved to LA, there was a huge one on Tinder that people were like, this guy is crazy. Like, look what he wrote and what he will do to you. It totally, you want to talk about a defamation case. That was it. Did not make me look good. And they use my name. And a lot of times they don't even use the name. It's just the pictures, right? But there are a lot of fake profiles out there. And that's what we were talking about, like you can get emotionally attached to somebody you haven't met, right? Which is such a wild thing to think, but why do you think?
That's why these people are doing it, right?
Yeah.
They're scamming people, right? They're faking it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that could be for a million different reasons, right? It could be
malintent. It's
it could be
bad.
Yeah. It could be financially. It could be those people are seeking, some kind of emotional connection and they feel like they need to use this other version of somebody else to attract that.
Yep. Because they're not satisfied with themselves. And I think they need to do work on themselves and hopefully get to a place that they can be happy,
Yeah.
Speaking of love, I want to cover the 5 love languages by Gary Chapman. All right.
Dive in.
First one, words of affirmation, right? This is pretty simple. It's compliments. It's, being positive and making sure that your partner understands that you care about them and that you're expressing that verbally, right?
Yep.
Words of affirmation. A lot of people, that's a very common love language, right? This is what these are, the 5 most common languages of love. Number 2, quality time, right? You got to make sure you carve out that time to whatever it is. Go to the farmer's market, go on the hike, walk the dog. Really make sure you get quality time with no cell phones, no distractions. Even if it's watching a movie, whatever it is, figure out how to get that quality time. That is very important to certain people, right?
Yeah. And another one is receiving gifts, right? So it's not just about getting a new car in your driveway, which would be nice. I would actually really love that. That's not even one of my main love languages, but I'll take that. But yeah, it's just a matter of, and on that point, I'm not going to sidetrack too much, but love languages, right? We have a love language that we give, right? One of those 5, and then we receive another one, and they're not usually the same one, but receiving gifts is definitely one. And it could be as simple as, just flowers on your way home from work for your partner, or a letter, or, we mentioned this earlier, a wine that you remembered this person really liked, right?
Yep.
So giving them that. So there's a bunch of different ways to give a gift that somebody will receive and fill their cup of love, I guess you could say.
I think it's a great way of showing that you care, right? Showing that you were paying attention when they mentioned whatever you get them.
Yeah.
Or that you just went out of your way to try to make them happy, right?
Yeah.
It's manifesting your thoughtfulness into a physical object.
Yeah. I think on that point is something where it becomes a point of contention in a lot of relationships is potentially not understanding someone's love languages. And so if you give,
Right.
Gifts as your main way of showing people you love them, but that person's thing is quality time
Right.
or physical touch or whatever it may be, they're not going to receive that the way that you're intending to give. And so resentment builds and contention and, you know, all these different emotions come up, but it's not the one that you're intending. And that's where
Right.
communication becomes vital, you know, and also finding a partner that matches, or finding one that is, that you're not going to quit on, and you just find a way and you change and adapt for them.
100%. Fourth love language, acts of service, right? So chores, cleaning up, cooking, just an act that shows a form of selflessness, right? It's a caring act that you do because you want to take care of it, and right, you're expressing your love through service.
Doing something for somebody.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So the fifth one is physical touch. And that could be as simple as holding hands with somebody, walking in public, you know, touching them in a movie theater appropriately. Or, you know, in the bedroom, you know, that's another way. But it's being close to somebody. I think it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, sexual or along that nature. It could just be, you know, being, you know, running your hair through running fingers through someone's hair. As I have long hair, that's great. But I'm only,
sure.
I actually, do you know what your love languages are? Have you ever done that test?
So I'm under the philosophy of what he kind of teaches of like, you want to do all five, right? Like you really,
what do you mean by that?
like, it's good to do all these things in a relationship.
Yeah.
Right. But obviously, like you're saying, a lot of people are hardwired to really emphasize one, right? Like you're saying, it's like your preferred love language, even though you want to do forms of all of them.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think there's forms of all of it, and I think there's from what I've read, and I haven't done so much research.
I like a lot of them. I don't know. I don't know if I could pick.
Yeah. Well, there's an actual test you could take, and
okay.
So it'll give you, I think it's actually it's 5, the number 5, lovelanguages.com is one of the places where you can take this test.
I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, I think it's worth taking. I think that there's a primary one and then a secondary, and then other ones I think can be close to, but it all depends on the person. But I think I actually know mine. Yeah.
What is it?
What do you think your top 2 are? What do you think they are?
Quality time and physical touch.
That's funny. Those are mine.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, those are mine too. But I think men in general typically have physical touch also.
Right.
But quality time, man. I like to, you know, if there's somebody that I love and enjoy and want to spend my life with, I want to spend some quality time. That means for me, it's uninterrupted. If you can turn off your phone, we could turn off our phones. We could do something where it's just us. I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Dude, for sure. And I'm like, I can be antisocial, right? At times. So like, I don't want to go to a bar every night and have to like yell to talk to them, right? Or like,
it's my favorite time to communicate with someone. What are you talking about?
Right.
Man?
So, you know, we're all different, but
yeah. For me, it would be if I could take someone that I love, take my partner, take my girlfriend, and turn off the world, and it would just be us. And I would find that as good as it gets. You know, whether we're watching a movie, whether we're, you know, doing whatever we're doing, but if it's just us in a moment of time, whether that's a minute or 5 hours or a day, you know, I don't think it's kind of hard to beat that in my head.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, that's the person you're choosing, right? You get to spend your time with them that over the other 7 billion people in the world. I mean, it's kind of, I mean, to me, it makes sense.
I think we're at like 8 billion now.
These stats have got to be updated then.
Yeah. So they end at 2022. So I'm sure.
Oh, we're going on the 2nd year now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a full year of data that hasn't come out yet.
We may be at 400 million people worldwide by this point.
Based off those numbers, it's very much possible, right?
Speaking of love in filmmaking, what are some of your favorite romantic comedies or love-based films, and I'm going to go after you.
Oh, after. How many am I supposed to list here?
Well, don't take mine.
Because I secretly
Let's do
I secretly love rom-coms.
Do you really?
I do.
Interesting.
I always have.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've tried to hide that for a long time.
I like Love Actually. That's on my list.
I just watched that last night.
10 Things I Hate About You.
Watched that the night before.
Love and Basketball.
I'm watching that tonight. Just kidding.
That's awesome.
Titanic is amazing.
Titanic.
Right. If you want to go real deep with it.
Silver Linings Playbook.
Another one, Bradley Cooper.
J-Law.
Yeah. Jennifer Lawrence is amazing.
The Notebook, obviously.
Yeah. Notebook. Probably one of the first times I cried watching a movie, dude.
Oh, there you go.
That's not true. I cried with Hercules and Lion King. Lion King got me good, dude.
Lion King got me good.
But I was also like 4, so.
Yeah, I remember crying in Gladiator. I think I was 11.
Dude, Gladiator is such a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to break it down right now because we're focusing on the love stuff, but like, how great is that? Yeah, it's not even about his redemption against Joaquin. We'll call him Joaquin. It's not even about that. He just wants to get back to his family. He wants to get back to his wife and his child, regardless if he kills him or not. He wants. And
then when he finds out his family's dead, it's all about revenge, and he doesn't even care about his life. He wants to reunite with his family.
Yeah.
In heaven.
Yeah. That's really like where his journey goes on. It's amazing.
Punch Drunk Love.
It's a good one.
It's goodie.
Yeah. Casablanca.
Princess Bride.
It's been a while since I've seen. I think I watched that once. It's been a while since I've seen.
Kind of a rom-com. You could throw that in there.
Yeah. There's a lot of it's just pretty much any Matthew McConaughey film what was
Failure to Launch.
Failure to Launch. There you go. What was the 10 Things I Hate About You, right? That's one.
Heath Ledger.
Julia
Stiles.
So good. What's the one where he's like a treasure hunter with, is it Kate Hudson?
Oh.
Yeah, I love this movie. I can't remember the name of it. What is
it? Is it new?
No, it's older.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up.
I think she's writing like is that the one? I feel like they did a couple, didn't they?
Fool's Gold.
I like Fool's Gold, man.
You know what else? Moonlight. Moonlight was a great. That was a love story.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
I didn't see it.
I picked it to win Best Picture over La La Land. Not like because I liked it more or whatever, just because I thought it was going to win Best Picture. And they go up in La La Land, they had the whole kerfuffle where they, it's actually Moonlight.
Oh,
and
geez.
I'm like,
Steve Harvey
I thought I lost. And then I'm like, because I do a Oscar thing every year where I pick. Yeah. I've never gotten under 50%. I always call.
I remember when we were in Cabo one year, the first year I saw you do that, and we were all watching, and you're literally like 10 for 10, like 100%. I was like, what this guy's insane, dude.
I'm good at the Oscar picks. Yeah. Got to do it in Vegas.
We got to do it at the Oscars one year.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
You're not going to get this one. It's got to be this dude right here.
But yeah, some good rom-coms.
I actually did just watch one recently. What was it? Ashton Kutcher. No, not Ashton Kutcher. It was Justin Timberlake and Mila Kunis.
Oh, yeah.
Friends. Just
with
Friends.
Benefits.
Just Friends? Friends with Benefits?
I think there's both. There's Just Friends and there's Friends with Benefits, I think.
Probably similar storylines.
Right.
It's the same movie, and Ashton Kutcher's in one and Mila Kunis is in the other.
That's crazy. The formula. If the formula works, don't change it.
Yeah.
I respect that.
100%.
That's Hallmark's entire business plan.
John Renitzky, this great comedian.
Yeah.
You've met him with me a few times.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say
Krasinski.
Krasinski, yeah.
He did a sketch, like a digital comedic sketch where he's McConaughey in the True Detective outfit in the room, and he's like being interviewed, and they're like, where were you from 2000 to 2010? And he's like, I don't know. I blacked out. I went to every romantic comedy ever made. It's a terrible impression. I wasn't trying to do that, but
It's funny.
basically saying like he blacked out and was in every romantic comedy in that time period.
For 10 years.
Yeah.
What a legend.
Okay. And now we're going to go into dating advice because I think it's good to talk about this stuff. It can get misconstrued a lot of the times. And, you know, we're not experts, right? But definitely been on a number of dates, and some have been good, some have been bad, but that's how life goes. And but here are some things we want to share about dating advice. Go for it.
Oh, pressure's on. The first thing that comes to mind with dating advice is, I think, looking inward. I know it sounds funny, but I think if you can focus on healing and understanding and self-awareness to the greatest degree you can, self-love, you'll show up as a better version of yourself. And I find that, you know, in relationships I had since I was young, I dated someone that I exactly needed for where I was in my life. So if I dated someone that was terrible for me, it was because that's what I was attracting at the time. That's what I needed to experience so that I could understand more about myself and to heal and grow on my journey. And I felt like I haven't dated many people, many women, but I found that every time I dated somebody, it taught me more about myself until I got to the point where I dated the one that really showed me everything, brought everything to the table. And so I had things that I didn't even know I needed to work on that I couldn't be more grateful. You know, it wasn't for me the best relationship, but it was the best in the sense that it showed me everything I needed to, so that moving forward, I know what kind of man I need to be for the next person, for the right person, for the person I want to end up with, you know? And it was, I think that for me is some advice to really focus on yourself, and trying to become the best version of you, so that way you can show up and be a better version for someone else. Because you can't go around and fill someone else's cup if your cup's empty. So you got to work on making sure that yours is overfilling so that it spills over into the other people's lives around you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely a very insightful thing to say.
You lobbed it at me. I'm lobbing it back now, dude.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, that was great. I guess I'll go more like tangible, right? I'll go more like specifics. We were talking about this the other day with Kevin, right? Toxic masculinity. And then I think the opposite side of that spectrum is being a gentleman, right? And I think you definitely want to strive to be a gentleman at all times. And that's a life thing, not just a date thing, right? Everything from opening up doors and holding it, you know, offering to pay the check, and just like you said, being a good person and being a gentleman. And that's really it. Like, be yourself and let it flow. Yeah. Don't be nervous, right? Like, I think so many people get in their heads, because I did this. You get in your head about something and you make it bigger than it is, when in reality, you're just going to dinner with someone. And a lot of the time you'll end up becoming friends, right? Like, that's fine. It just depends on the connection and who it is and what y'all are doing. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's good advice or even made sense, but that's kind of how I feel. Be a fucking gentleman.
I mean, that sounds like good advice. Yeah, I think another thing for me that comes to mind is, and I think this is one of the things that, from my experience, causes relationships to fail the most, and it's communication. You know, people learning how to communicate properly. Because if you hold something in, or if something bugs you, or you don't say what's on your mind, or you don't even communicating at the right time, like, you know, if you're realizing that your partner, your wife, your husband, whatever it is on empty, and you try to dump, and so let's say they've got 10% in the tank, and you've got 90% that you got to get out of you, right? Instead of waiting for the right time when your person is ready to receive it, you dump it right there. Well, you just took that 10% down to a zero, and then it's only going to cause pain, fighting, resentment, and communication is such an important factor. And it's not like we aren't taught this, right? We have usually, if you're lucky, two examples, which are your parents, and hopefully they're good ones. But nobody really has it all figured out, And so the examples we get, we learn from them, and then we learn from people around us, our friends, parents, and our friends in relationships, our own relationships. You learn all these different things as you go. But if you're able to sit down and break down how to communicate properly to someone, how to be vulnerable, how to be open, how to communicate at the right time, it ups your ante in your relationship having success, I feel. And if not, you communicate improperly or you hold things in and you don't share them, well, then resentment's going to build, and that resentment only stacks over time.
Yep.
And it's not like you can just get a clean slate, right? There's ways to work through it. And with time and proper communication, sometimes therapy, sometimes couples therapy, right? There's a million different ways to do it.
What is therapy? It's communication.
Yeah,
right?
Learning how to communicate, right?
Yeah.
And balancing all that. That's one thing that I think is vital to a healthy relationship. It is communication. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I believe in love. I believe that there's somebody out there for everybody, and whatever you're looking for, you can find it. It just takes some work to find. And like you said multiple times, it takes work on yourself as well. And, we're happy to talk about this and wishing everyone the best out there.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that for me, it seems when it comes to relationships and love, I think a major factor is self-love. If you can learn to love yourself and accept yourself, and doesn't mean don't work on growing and becoming a better version, but truly loving yourself, then I feel like you can properly love somebody else. And there's that quote that I don't know who says it. I don't think anybody knows who said it first, but we accept the love we think we deserve, right? So you get to the point where you know you deserve a better love, you can give a better love, and you seek out a partner that values those same things, has the same morals, and wants to grow and take on life with you. And I think you have a pretty good recipe for success. So happy, I don't want to say hunting, but to everyone out there who's in a relationship, everyone who's looking to, like Will said, there's somebody out there for everybody. So I hope you find your person. And if some guy wants to make fun of me for that, say it to my face, bro. Say it to my face.
Signing out. Thank you for watching Studio 22.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
And follow our socials at Studio 22 Podcast.